kitchen in the 1990s. Popcorn on the stove, perhaps. Here we meet the most literally disposable woman in horror films. The victim, the pretty girl who was terrorized and killed. The 1960s had a different type of horror heroine. The paranoid woman, the woman who knew that there was a conspiracy to get her.
What have you done to it? What have you done to its eyes?
He has his father's eyes.
Another image of woman in horror is the protective mother fighting the monster for the life and soul of a child.
What do you want? What do you want?
Here in Hammer's Dracula, we have the powerful archetype of woman as vampire, as monster, as femme fatale. Rural dereliction. Here we encounter our final horror heroine, the final girl, the survivor girl, the girl who outlasts all her friends and defeats the monster.
Well, we're joined now by the director of Under the Shadow, Babak Anvari, and the horror fan, Anna Bogatskaya, who's from the British Film Institute, but is really here because she loves horror. First of all, making this film, you took as its basis your childhood growing up under attack.
Yeah. I was born in Iran during the Iran-Iraq War, right in the middle of it, and by the time it ended, I was more or less the same age as the child in the film. So it was basically tapping in all those memories, you know, what I remember from wartime.
And being confined in a house.
Being confined
underground.
Yeah, sirens going off, running downstairs, yeah, all of that.
So, but then, what was the spur to make this horror, and to make it a horror where the woman is the central protagonist and the saviour?
Well, basically, I think the spark of the idea came from the conversations I was having with my mom, because my dad is a doctor, and he was a young doctor in the 80s, just like the father in the film, and he had to go and serve every year for a month on the front line. And both my brother and I have a lot of fears and night terrors, we still do. And I was having a conversation, and my mom blamed that on herself, saying that during those times that my dad was away, she basically sort of had anxieties that kind of subconsciously maybe.
But when you look at those films there, you very much wanted to make a different kind of film.
Of course, different kind in what sense?
Well, different kind, particularly putting women in an absolute... The central protagonist, she takes all the big decisions.
Yeah.
A feminist horror film.
A feminist horror film. You know what? I didn't set out to sort of... I didn't have a certain agenda. I didn't set out to write or direct a feminist horror film. It just came naturally because the main protagonist is female.
Anna, I mean, looking at your interest in horror, do you see a marked difference in this than the majority? I'm not saying there aren't other feminist horror films, but I'm saying a marked difference in this and, for example, kind of stuff that we used to see.
I think what's so special about Babak's film really is not whether it's billed as a feminist horror film or not. It's because the character at the center of it, she's a woman, but she's a really full-fledged, very deep, complex character. And that's what makes it so fascinating and makes you engage with it so deeply, because it's a slow burn horror as well. And by the time the scares come along, you're actually completely with them. You're completely with Shide and Dorsa.
She draws you in, and you're absolutely on her side. But I wonder if, indeed, in the genre, there is a contradiction, or is it just the way the genre has been prosecuted in the past? There's a contradiction between being a horror film and a feminist film.
There's definitely trouble in the genre. There's always films that are very conflictive and that don't really have the most positive portrayal of women. But actually, horror audiences have notoriously and very historically been 50-50 split between men and women. So actually, the audience for horror films has always been majority female.
But interestingly, from this film, and you know, Netflix snapped it up and we are going to see it, the psychological horror is it's on so many levels. It's about a woman and her child. It's about this kind of existential danger. And it's about an urban myth about the jinn, who are kind of come and get you. And your mother's not able to protect
you. And the self-doubts she has, and can I protect this child? Yeah, I guess it's a very universal thing for all mothers around the world.
But if women are a big audience for horror, what are they looking for in horror then? Because so many of the horror films of the past do portray women as victims, but women don't presumably essentially want to see themselves as victims.
No, not necessarily. And even part of the things that Kim touched in his little video before, like the final girl, the last girl standing, actually calls for the audience to identify with her, because the audience wants to survive. They're not really identifying with the killer or the bad guy in the film, but rather with the survivor.
This film, it doesn't really take sides in the Iran-Iraq War. It's not about that. But I wonder when it's going to be such a big hit, because it's been on Netflix and it's going to be in cinemas, what the view of the authorities in Iran is, because there's a thriving film industry in Iran.
Sure.
Presumably horror is one of the genres in Iran, and women in Iran are notoriously much stronger than they're portrayed by and large by outsiders.
Sure. I think that's a big question to ask the Iranian authorities, but I certainly think it's not going to get like a cinema release, because I think they have usually have an issue with films being made about Iran outside Iran. And because of certain, Iran has a huge film industry, like you said.
But, you know, it's in Farsi, it's got subtitles, obviously, but presumably it'll be under the table somewhere.
Of course, 100% people will be able to find it. They always do.
Thanks very much indeed to both of you.